What's up, everybody? Rosy the Rascal 15 here, and I'm going to be doing another horror movie review. But wait a minute, Rosy. We're in November. October already ended. Halloween's over. Stop. Why are you even reviewing a horror film? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it was a cold day outside. The lights were dark in my house, and I was just in the mood to watch a horror film. So deal with it. I'm kidding. No, I'll review a holiday film sometime soon. Actually, there's one holiday film I want to talk about, but I'll save that for December. Anyways, I'm just going to be talking about a horror film that I just saw today, and I'm going to be giving my review for it, and that is A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Okay, before anybody types in the comments saying, like, Rosy, what the hell? Why are you watching this movie? Why not watch the first one? Here's the thing. I already watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street this past month. I watched it for Halloween. In fact, I already did a review of it on my channel. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I really like that film. There'll be a link in the description down below and in the comment section so you can hear more of my thoughts. I love the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, very well made film. It's very well directed. Great soundtrack, memorable death scenes. I love the characters. Ending sucked. That's the only thing I didn't like about that film. But anyways, there's a review for that film on my channel, so I'll put a link down in the description. Okay, so we're going to talk about the sequel. So, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 came out literally 1 year after the first one, and this movie was an example of what happens when the studio gets money hungry, because the first Nightmare on Elm Street was such a big hit. They're like, we gotta make a sequel. We gotta make a sequel. You have to make a sequel, Wes Craven. And Wes Craven said, no, I'm not making a sequel. He's already made a sequel. You know, Wes Craven made a sequel back in the day, The Hills Have Eyes 2, and that film freaking sucked. Nobody should ever watch that film. That movie is horrible. And Wes Craven said to himself, I'm never making a horror sequel. And I don't blame him, because honestly, why would you make a sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street? It's like the same thing with Halloween. Don't make a sequel to a movie that was already good. It's like, it's good. If this was just the only one in the series, that's fine. Leave it be. Leave it just be a one-off film, you know, like The Thing, or it should have been a one movie, The Thing. I'll talk about that movie in the future. Anyways, so Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I want to go ahead and start off by saying I think this is an okay sequel, but this is a very disappointing sequel compared to the first one. I don't hate this film, before anybody gets the impression, like, okay, I'm going to go into a lot of negatives, but I don't hate this film, before anybody gets the impression, like, oh, Rosie's going to go ahead and give this like a 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. No, I'm actually going to issue this movie a 5 out of 10. Now, I know what you're saying. That's a low score. Before you even get the idea of me saying this movie sucks, just hear me out. I'm going to go ahead and give my positives for this film, my mix aspects, and then my negatives. So, first of all, the positives. The one thing this movie does, in my opinion, even better than the first one, is you kind of get to know the main character's like internal struggle. One thing is, this is a brand new character for the film. It doesn't have any characters from the first film other than a mention of Nancy in a diary, which feels very forced, but I'll get to that later in the negatives. There's a scene where, or let me go ahead and talk about the main character, excuse me. Jesse is the main character of our film, and he's basically this kid that moves into Nancy's house from the first film, because apparently Nancy moved away from, you know, Elm Street, which she should, because if you've seen the first one, you know why. You know, Freddy Krueger. So the family moves in. They go ahead and realize, you know, hey, something's wrong with this house, because Jesse keeps having nightmares, and he keeps saying, I keep having nightmares. And the family's like, oh, whatever, who cares? It's just normal to have nightmares. Maybe you're just nervous about school. So Jesse, throughout the film, keeps having nightmares, obviously, about Freddy Krueger.
Fine. It's just a bad dream.
He's having to deal with Freddy Krueger, torturing him, and eternally, you know, battling him through his nightmares. And that's basically the plot of the film. And the big positive, like I said, Jesse, the main actor, this kid's good. Right off the bat, the kid's a great actor. He's really, really good. And I'm kind of shocked that nobody talks about this character in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. This is actually a decent kid.
You son of a bitch! You coward!
Jesse's a great character. His friend slash girlfriend, Lisa, another great character. She's a very good supporting character. She helps out Jesse as much as she can in the story. And she's really cool. I like her.
Jesse, who is doing this to you?
Fred Krueger!
Freddy Krueger in this film is scary. Not as scary as he was in the first film, but he is menacing. This is actually Freddy Krueger still being himself in the first film. Here we're going to get into the mix aspects. Okay, let me get the one thing out of the way. The mix thing I feel about. I said it's different from the first film, but at the same time, it's not different in a good way, though. This movie has a thing where Freddy Krueger likes to come out in the real world and attack people, and I don't like that. I really don't like that Freddy Krueger in this film doesn't haunt you in your nightmares. Instead, he possesses Jesse and comes out and kills victims, and then he leaves, like he disappears. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. I personally liked it more when Freddy Krueger would individually haunt kids' nightmares, because it was a suspenseful thing to realize, oh my God, whenever these kids fall asleep, that's when he's going to get you. Like, there was that suspense. Like, you don't want the kid to fall asleep. Like, if you fall asleep, you're dead. Freddy's going to get you. Unless somebody wakes your ass up, Freddy's going to kill you in your nightmares. In this one, it's just Jesse keeps having nightmares, but it loses that suspense because since he can possess them at any time and come out and kill people, that doesn't feel as scary as the first one. I don't like that aspect. In fact, this is the only film that did that, and thankfully with the sequels, they went back to, oh no, Freddy kills you in your nightmares, which they, thank God they returned to, because I give credit to the director not trying to copy the first one. But this was not how you make Freddy scarier. This just makes him feel like Jason Voorhees or every other slasher where he's just going around killing people. And that's another thing, the death scenes in this movie, they're not great. Now we're going to get into my negatives. Okay, negatives. The death scenes, they're generic. Nothing's going to stick out in this movie for death scenes. They're not as good as the first one. You're not going to have that, scene where Glenn gets dragged in the bed and that fountain of blood squirts up in the roof and fills up the entire room. Or freaking, was it Tina's death when she gets dragged all over the room? It's disturbing. You don't get anything like that in this film. You just get very lame death scenes where characters just get stabbed or clawed by Freddy, and that's it. I'm like, these are very lame death scenes. Another thing I feel negative about, I really don't think this movie is as well directed as the first one. Obviously, this is suffering from sequelitis, which means it's not as good as the last one, and it really shows here. Since this movie had no mention, or no involvement of Wes Craven, this feels very poorly directed compared to the first one. There's a lot of scenes that will just end abruptly or jump cut to something that doesn't feel appropriate. It's not as tightly edited as the first one. It's not as well directed. So overall, this is an average sequel, but overall very disappointed. There are good moments in this film. Again, strong acting from the main cast for the most part. Some really good moments. There are some good scary moments. But overall, this movie just at times has some pacing issues. Not good directing, and it could be at times boring. Overall, like I said, 5 out of 10. Do I recommend buying this film? Hell no. I don't think so. But I think if you're a fan of the franchise, you might like this movie a little bit more than me. Like I said, I'm not a diehard Freddy fan. I actually really only like the first movie. And Freddy vs. Jason is a guilty pleasure. I did like New Nightmare. That one was actually a good film. But yeah, 5 out of 10, everybody. But I hear the third one's better, so I'll do a review for the third one eventually. I hear the third one's even better. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Catch it on, stream it. Try to catch it when it's free on a streaming website. I don't really recommend you go out and buy this film, like I said. Just probably rent it or just stream it. Honestly, this is not a good sequel to the first one. Alright, everybody, that's my thoughts and opinion on the second film. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Take care, everybody. Hope you had a good one. Adios, everybody. Have a great one.